how freshers can go about cracking a 15-20 lakh job.
Entry-level jobs are vanishing at an alarming rate.
It's likely to be one of the most challenging times in history for graduates to get a job today.
The perfect storm of AI, political instability, and economic uncertainty are causing what some are calling the job apocalypse.
The empire has struck back. Salary offers and joining bonuses are being cut. Your paychecks will soon get smaller.
Why do these management graduates earn far below their expectation, far below what is needed in India to survive well?
See, when you're saying management graduate, you are...
What exactly is this skill deficit?
I think knowledge is a commodity. The market or the world in general as we live it today is gonna fundamentally change. Now how?
Just to understand, like, what does a good CV look like to apply to a top tier firm like MBBs or a solid startup?
How should a student at tier 2, tier 3 college get good internships at the first place?
So companies today are still very... Other mistake a lot of these Gen Z kids do, okay? Don't want to stereotype here, is that...
Is MBA worth it?
So, thank you for joining us, Swati, today. Now, we know that you have had a stellar career across consulting, working with startups, and we want to take some part of that gyan today. Now, here's the problem that we want to address, right? A lot of business graduates today who pass out from their BBA and MBA want to have high-paying jobs. Now, when I say high-paying, let's assume it's upwards of 18 to 20 lakhs per annum in the Indian ecosystem, right? But they do not get it. The reality is a large segment of these people end up in a job which is paying 2, 3 or 4 LPA. That's like 80% of the segment. So, interesting anecdote that Ayush and I saw firsthand was that we met an MBA graduate who was earning 18,000 rupees a month. And these are not corner cases. There are lots of people across the country who have this problem and who are not able to convert their graduation into good results at the end of the day. So today, as someone who might be watching us from the age of 18 to 25 who has studied business and wants to build a good career in that category, we want your knowledge. So that is the agenda. This won't be specific only to ki tier 1 ka college ka hai, IITs, right, everybody. If the person has the zeal, he or she is willing to put in the hours and the hard work, we want कि वो इसे solid value निकाल पाए. That's the clear intent. So let's dive straight in. My first question is like, why do these management graduates earn far below their expectation, far below what is needed in India to survive well?
See, when you're saying management graduate, you are, as you said, anybody and everybody, right? We're not talking about Ahmedabad, we're not talking about Masters Union here, we're talking about any college. Now, you have to understand that in India, if you talk about the K-12 education system, the great schools that you both have gone to or in general people have gone to, there's a huge improvement in the kind of schools that exist in India today versus the last 25 years, right? A lot of IB schools, a lot of even CBSE and ICSE schools, but really providing high quality education. But when you talk about the higher ed, I don't think as a country we have focused a lot on it except for that top layer. So when you're saying a management graduate, it could be an MBA from a local college which is just opened by somebody, right? The intent was not to provide quality education, and hence the child is going there for 2 years, 1 year, but not learning anything. So if you're not learning anything, you don't have any skills, what else do you expect? So it's failure of the higher ed at large. Things are changing now with a lot of privatization, with a lot of brands coming in into the higher ed, where students are asking, what do I get as an ROI if I go to this college? And hence in the next 15 years, probably things will change. But that wave of innovation hasn't happened in the higher ed as it happened in the K-12.
Got it. So you're saying that because people who don't have any credibility to open colleges, वो भी open कर रहे हैं, तो वो अच्छे college बना नहीं पा रहे हैं.
As a country, we really need to focus on what is the quality of education we have, who are the people running it. If you look, apart from the top tier colleges, if you look at people who are running those colleges, what is their credibility? वो ही नहीं है. The promoters or the owners, they are running their own real estate businesses or something else, and college is opened as a CSR activity. It's great, but then invest time, make it high quality, keep your KRA as high placements. That's not happening, no. So then they are just left to be there.
Fair. So that I'm sure leads to a skill deficit and poor quality graduates, which leads to low paying jobs.
Yeah.
What exactly is this skill deficit?
So if I think from first principles, right? If you were to solve this, let's say you are the government of India in the PMO office and you've been asked कि इसको solve करना है, कैसे solve करें? You will go and you will say, what are the top jobs today in the market where the graduates are needed? Now, if I look at the government at large or the country at large, right, the AI mission or the focus on the semiconductor side or the focus on the renewables and the climate tech side, right, there's a lot of ecosystem that's being built. We're talking about semiconductors and chips every day in the news, it's there. Have we thought through what kind of education is needed to be able to create talent that goes into these industries? Do you see people studying climate tech and sustainability? Do you see people, apart from engineering, as semiconductor engineering or electronic engineering, do you see graduates or management graduates studying how the whole chip industry works? No. So we are just saying that, hey, we are focusing on these sectors, but then soon we will not. AI. How many engineering colleges have launched a BTech in AI?
None, hardly that I know.
I have seen IITs launch online BTech in AI, but not their flagship offline BTech in AI. That's still BTech in CS. Why? Right? So what I'm trying to say is that we will have to move very fast in terms of moving the industry and then moving the education institutes with it. As government, as a country, that's what I'm trying to say.
Got it. So basically there's a gap between how fast the industry is moving versus how fast the education system is moving.
So coming back to your question, you look at the new industries that are on boom. What kind of talent is needed? You go back to the educational institutes, you say this is the kind of talent is needed. These are the kind of degrees or education, hard skills I'm talking about. Soft skills obviously are common across. Hard skills that will be needed. And hence these are the courses or skills I'm going to introduce. For example, if I need to produce a product manager who can work at tech companies like Microsoft and Google, the person should know how to write a PRD. The person should know how to handle a developer and talk to him, plus how to handle a business person and talk to them. The person should know what Jira as a tool is. Who's teaching all of this?
Fair. So, okay, for now we have understood that, okay, colleges में ही fundamentally problem है. But let's also look at it in a way कि कोई student अगर tier 2, tier 3 college में है, and now he has to make it work somehow. College उतना fast improve करे ना करे, we can't give a guarantee for that. Yeah. What are some things that he can do to understand which is this next industry that's going to boom in the next 3 to 4 years and how to prepare for it?
I think knowledge is a commodity today. So even this question that you have asked me, because I'm in the education business, I have asked the same question to the AI tools that exist. And I'm so surprised that these tools have given me great reports that I, as a Bain analyst, would have taken a week to generate in 30 minutes, right? So what kind of industries are coming up? As I told you, semiconductor is coming up, renewables is coming up. What skills? The market or the world in general as we live it today is going to fundamentally change. Now how? In early 2000s, internet came in. Yes. All the dot-com companies were being created. We didn't know how the world will look, but we knew that the world is going to go through a significant change and the world is being recreated in the way we live. Same is happening now. AI has come in. Fundamentally, the way we live our lives is going to change. Everything from the kind of operating system that's run, to the kind of browsers that we run, to the kind of mobile phones that we use today will go through a fundamental format change and application change. So you are completely redesigning the world. Right? Now, definitely, if you ask me, what should somebody study? Jump into the AI ship. Those skills are needed. Right? Look at the upcoming industry, biogenetics. If you're interested in bio, rather than saying, I'm just going to do a MBBS, that's a good path as well. But biogenetics is a very upcoming field. So you have to look at what's new, what's emerging, and go towards that, because the talent supply is less there. So if you're qualified there, your demand is going to be more.
Got it. And what about for a business graduate who's not a tech guy, who won't be a biomedical engineer, but he needs to fill the void for good quality business people who can help build the business side of these developments and businesses.
So even if I look at, let's say, a normal MBA grad or a normal BBA grad, right? To run a business successfully, you need hard skills and you need soft skills. Now, depending on the kind of business you're going to get into, if I was going into my family business, that is very traditional, offline, right? There are certain set of skills that I would need, let's say manufacturing, supply chain, hard skills that I need for that business, that you have to learn. Now, how do you learn it? If your college is a tier 1 college, you will learn it in the college. If not, you will probably learn on these online courses, YouTube, etc. Now, knowledge is everywhere, right? But you'll have to get those hard skills. And then I'll come to the soft skills. But let's say that's one kind of business you know that you're going to get into. Second is you're saying, hey, I want to get into these fancy MNCs. I'm going to get into private equity. I'm going to get into VC, all of that. Again, then be very, very strong in finance. Those are the hard skills. And then you can get into, right? So different tracks would require different hard skills. And the market has really become brutal, right? So when I graduated, people were okay saying, I am getting a great IQ person and I will train, because the recruiters were majorly MNCs. So if a Bain is hiring, a Microsoft is hiring, they would say, oh, we do have a 6-month training program. We get somebody smart enough. We let them kind of go through our training process. So it was easy. Today, the companies are saying, we are startups. I mean, you look at the recruiter pool, it's full of unicorns, large startups. They are saying, we don't have the time to train. I need a smart person who can deliver from day one, and I'm ready to pay top dollars for that. Now, for that, you need to, let's take an example of, let's say, Zomato. Really need to understand the quick commerce business, really need to understand the operations and supply chain of it, really needs to understand the brand and marketing side of it, right? Those are hard skills. You have to learn them. Plus, if I'm hiring somebody, I need somebody who can work in teams, somebody who's jugadu, a street smart. I don't want like a GMAT 780, but then doesn't know how to work in teams. And in my teams, I see that somebody who's great at their work as an individual contributor. But if I'm asking them to do something, now we are 1,000 people strong company. If you have to get something done, you have to build these informal relationships and influence that you get those things done. It cannot be email to this team, CC Swati, and it'll be done. It won't be done, right? And the person comes back and say, "मैंने तो email कर दिया था." I was like, email ही कराना था तो आपको क्यों hire किया, right? Just informally get things done, move. So teamwork, collaboration, stakeholder management, those are important things that we as individuals need to learn if we're going in and working in businesses.
Got it. So just you mentioned about hard skills there. And before we come to soft skills, I have one important question. So a close friend who is studying computer science from one of the good private engineering colleges in the country was recently was taking a course on machine learning. And he was given an assignment in the final assessment, and he was told that you cannot do this assignment using AI. At that point, he had to put in some own effort and thoda khud karke ho gaya. He could not do it with AI. But 6 months down the line, now we have GPT-5. Yeah. He gave that data set and that task to that bot and asked it to execute that set. Correct. And he didn't even have to copy paste the code into some other tab. Yes. And that was gone. Now, someone might call that ki ye to badi hard skill thi, but hard skill bhi ja rahi hai. How to identify कि कौन सी हार्ड स्किल पे मैं आज टाइम लगाऊं जो रिप्लेस ना हो जाए 6 महीने बाद GPT-6 आने पे?
So yes, it's a very, very difficult world that you're graduating in, right? But and why probably this, ideally you shouldn't say that don't use AI, but I think why this college would have said don't use it, because the fundamental understanding, and I always give this example of my 5-year-old nephew. I'm like, these days he's learning addition, subtraction, all of this. Now, he can also give ChatGPT this input, 235 plus 450 plus 890, and ChatGPT will tell you what the answer is. But at this age, when he's learning fundamentals, it's important for him to like write that down on the notebook, understand the maths behind it, do it himself. But tomorrow calculators have been there for ages now. He will never need to do this addition in life, right? But he needs to understand these fundamentals, and that's how education is done, right? I don't know if in future we evolve it to an extent where we don't have to teach fundamentals, but right now to this 5-year-old, I have to teach addition and subtraction, right? So similarly, I feel that colleges are also struggling where they do want to teach the fundamentals and the child may not, for example, coding. The child may never have to write code with the kind of vibe coding that's coming, right? But to be able to think through the algorithms, to be able to say this is the logic that needs to go into this algo, maybe we as colleges need to judge that. We haven't found a way to judge your fundamentals without getting you to do those algorithms or codes.
Got it, fair. And you were mentioning about soft skills as well. Like which are the important ones apart from like हर कोई बोलता है communication होनी चाहिए, team के साथ काम करना. If we go one step deeper in that category,
I think the figure it out mindset. You can learn teamwork, so your manager will give you feedback, you'll know what tonalities to use. Communication, you will get to learn how to write nice emails and structured emails. But I've realized that people who have this figure it out confidence and mindset versus people who are always looking for this hand holding, that makes all the difference. You can have two people with similar caliber of work and maybe this person is better. But if this person is always self-doubting herself or himself, and this person maybe is less caliber, but a little bit overconfident, let's say, कि हाँ मैं कर लूँगा, it's okay, मैं कर लूँगा. Sometimes overconfidence भी नहीं होना चाहिए, but I really respect that attitude कि आपको लग रहा है आप कर लोगे तो मुझे भी as a manager confidence आ रहा है कि आप कर लोगे, right? Otherwise I'm thinking in my mind कि यार मैं बताऊँ कैसे करते हैं, मैं हैंडहोल्ड कर लूँ थोड़ा और.
एंड फिर टीम होने का फायदा ही नहीं हो पाया अगर आपको ये एफर्ट डालना पड़ रहा है कंसिस्टेंटली.
I think being irrationally optimistic is important कई बार.
And the confidence in yourself is what and I've always told all my, and at Bain we used to do this a lot, that your job as the team member is to save your manager's time, right? So if you are doing something and you're saying, hey, can I save 2 hours of his or her life by providing that leverage, I think you're a great employee or the team member in my team. But when people like add on to the work by doing extra things and asking 10 other questions and not figuring it out themselves, then it becomes a lag, right? You're just managing them. And as supervisors, as leaders, we don't want to become managers, right? We want to become innovators and get the team to execute stuff.
Fair point. So, as a fresh graduate after undergrad or postgrad MBA, what are some qualities and traits that someone should look for while joining a company today?
So you mean quality in the employee or quality in the company?
Like what are some कि भाई कैसा environment होना चाहिए, कैसा growth trajectory होना चाहिए?
So I think and it's difficult to judge, but a culture where you have leaders and not bosses.
How do you judge for that when you're not in the organization?
You will have to talk to people in the organization to judge that. And companies may be different team-wise, right? Large companies, if you're going to a Microsoft, you can't say the culture is same across. Like different leaders will have different cultures. Even large startups, I've seen they also run in their own silos depending on the team leader, etc. But wherever you are going, you have to really understand, are you given the freedom to voice out your opinions? Or is it that bol diya hai kar lo? Second, is it the jihuzuri culture? Or is it like get the work done and it really doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree, right? So you will have to ask people and you will have to see if they are thriving. See, if you are a 22-year-old person, you may join for the money, but you should join for growth. Like that career graph has to really be exponential. It's not just money, it's learning. There would be, let's say at IIT, when I graduated, the best of the best brands would pay you less and your early age startups would pay you high, right? So if you were going only for the money, you could go to the early stage startup. But then the question is it the culture I want to go into? Is the startup going to shut down the next 6 months, right? I mean, and the answer is different for different people. But what I'm saying is, I have seen in my life that optimizing for the growth curve and not the money in that moment has always been the right choice. Because if I have built my skills, I can command that money in the market tomorrow. But if I have been constrained by those golden handcuffs कि मेरी लाइफ तो अच्छी चल रही है, पैसे भी बहुत मिल रहे हैं, सही है बैठे रहो यहाँ पे, 3 साल बाद आप रिडंडेंट हो जाओगे. तब ना तो वो कंपनी आपको पैसे देगी क्योंकि आपने कुछ नहीं सीखा 3 सालों में, और आप बाहर मार्केट में जाओगे, वहाँ भी why should somebody pay you? Because you haven't learned much, you haven't grown much in the last 3 years. So these are called golden handcuffs and you should stay away from them.
I have a question on the right selection of companies straight out of college, right?
Okay.
So should a management graduate run after an MNC, established MNC like a Microsoft, Bain, BCG, or look for established unicorn startups who are having that J curve now or having their accelerating growth?
और उससे भी बिल्कुल अर्ली स्टेज स्टार्टअप
हाँ, जहाँ पे उनको हाई सेंस ऑफ ओनरशिप, हाई अथॉरिटी ज़्यादा शायद मिल रही है.
I can give you my answer, but I must disclaim that the answer is going to be different for every individual. Somebody is let's say somebody wants to go to a Harvard 3 years down the line, उसको ब्रांड चाहिए CV पे कि मेरे को माइक्रोसॉफ्ट लगाना है 3 साल अपने CV पे और फिर मेरे को हार्वर्ड जाना है. That's also a good answer, right? Somebody is really saying I want to be an entrepreneur down the line, so I really want to learn how startups work, and especially early stage. So maybe there, the early stage startup is the answer. But if I were to choose, as I said, I would in the early years optimize for learning. And I would say learning happens the fastest in a Series B, Series C startup. Very early stage, you will be dependent a lot on the founder. If the founder is great, structured, knows how to really do the 0 to 1, then you learn a lot. But let's say this is a first-time founder who himself has no clue.
They're figuring out on themselves.
अभी product market fit नहीं है, पता नहीं है, वो रोज ही कुछ नए ideas आ रहे हैं, then you may not get that guidance because the person is not clear. So Series B, Series C is the ideal space where the company will have multiple leaders. You will have some structure. They will have the time also to groom you, right? If you're going in early stage, the founder is like, yeah, मैं fundraise करूँ कि मैं तेरे को बैठ के train करूँ, right? So I would say a large startup, fast-paced, that you know has hit the product market fit, has enough funds, that you just go and kind of scale it.
Got it. Now, just building on that only, we discussed about some skills. Let's further narrow it down. Instead of going generalist, ki, okay, finance or this, let's assume business people who are either preparing, like basics of business build karna hai, want to go into consulting or startups or that kind of fields, not into a niche, into data or so many. What are some non-negotiable skills that they absolutely need to nail? And how do they get them? Like,
Hard skills you're asking me.
skills. Like, and also how? Like, do they go to YouTube? Do they pick some courses on Coursera or any other platform? Do they find a mentor? What do they do?
If you're graduating in the next 2-3 years, I think AI tools, hard AI tools. So for example, when I graduated, if I knew, by the way, I didn't know Excel when I graduated. So it's so stupid when I think of it now. PowerPoint, Excel, at that. Of course, yeah, Bain had a full training process for people like us to tell, oh, this is PPT, this is, and now I feel so stupid not knowing all of that, right? And that's why it's part of your course. But those were the tools of that age, which you should know today, but I doubt you would use them. AI has completely changed the game. Your slides are being made on Gamma, let's say, even your marketing content, etc. So many tools that even I have to catch up. To be honest, even I don't know yet. But it will be expected of a fresh graduate to be able to do the work with that efficiency. You can't be doing stuff manually if a tool exists for now. And in companies, it is on the younger blood to be able to bring that work culture in the ecosystem. I can't be expecting a 35 or a 45-year-old to be catch on to a new tool as I would expect from a 25-year-old, right? And that can be a differentiator. Like if you go to your CEO and you say, कि ये आपका analyst जो 4 घंटे में करता था, मैंने आधे घंटे में कर दिया. That just seals the deal for you, right? As a fresher, and oh, what a smart fresher we have, and gives you opportunities. So I think those AI tools which enhance your productivity can significantly differentiate any fresher in a new company. Now, where do you learn these tools, right? Ideally, I would probably tell you कि हाँ YouTube पे है, either online courses, etc. पे है. If colleges can inculcate that into their curriculum, great. That is what ideally, that's what should happen. But otherwise, yeah, you will have to go to these online channels if you don't have access to that to be able to learn it. And these days, if you ask a AI tool like a Perplexity, what are some of the AI tools I can learn? It will only give you the links to the YouTube videos and all of that.
Fair,
So
totally fair.
you just get that.
Got it. So now let's just move to the next part about CV building, and we're also going to cover some sort of LinkedIn as well, because I feel like
Okay.
LinkedIn is the digital version of your CV.
Correct.
For the last few roles that I've applied to, I didn't even send my CV.
You sent your LinkedIn.
Yeah, I didn't. I just texted them on LinkedIn.
So they know who you are.
So they just opened my profile, they have it, everything in front of them. So that's how it's been working out for me. But just to understand, like, what does a good CV look like to apply to a top tier firm like in the MBBs or a solid startup?
So companies today are still very, very brand conscious when it comes to the college that you've graduated from. It may change in the next 10 years. And the reason for that is that the people sitting at top are from those colleges. I am from SRCC. I am from IIT. I am from IIM. And for the last 20, 30 years, these CEOs, these leaders have seen that to be working for them. So yes, they are a little bit closed to the idea of looking at a CV which is not from those colleges. Now, the way this space has been opening up is one, a lot of new age brands kind of coming and breaking that myth. That has happened. It will still take a little bit more time, but that has happened in the past, right? And the other is, with the knowledge becoming commodity, there have been these stellar people who have learnt on their own through YouTube here. They came from a really tier 2 college, but they learnt on their own and they have shown that you can really excel if you have the zeal, even if you're not from tier 1. So that mindset is being shattered, but still there will be a little bit long way to go. So your question was how to get into these companies, right? Let's say if you're not from those colleges. I think one is through personalization and a story that fixes in that brand or company, right? Now, if let's say I get a lot of these cold reach outs, right? Sometimes the email is like, hi, it doesn't even say Swati because that email has been sent to probably 100 people, right? It's a very tactical, generic AI or whatever, but it doesn't tell me why. And I'm very open to looking at CVs wherever they come from, but it doesn't even tell me how their aspiration matches Masters Union, what's their vision of life, why Masters Union vision matches that, and why should I even consider this, right? So I think, for example, if you look at design people, right, you don't judge designers on their backgrounds of colleges, you judge them on their portfolios, right? So the world is going to move towards that. What's the portfolio you've done? So if somebody sends me and says that, hey, this is what I have done in the education space, and it may not be their professional work, it sometimes is like, hey, I have been teaching on the side on weekends and I'm super passionate about education, and this is the course that I designed for management graduates, and here is the PPT, or here is my recording of teaching this course, and I would love to be part of Masters Union. I will open it, yeah. I mean, if I'm getting somebody who's passionate about education, teaches really well, and wants to come and build a curriculum here, I'm at least going to have a conversation, right? So I think when you personalize it, you have evidence that you are the right fit because you've created something in the past, even if it is a side project. That will get you the eyeballs.
So you spoke about building up a story, going personalization when trying to approach a particular company. But let's say there's a student who has just came out of school in the year 1. He wants to build a stellar CV. What are some step-by-step processes to build a stellar CV in which he doesn't even know, or she doesn't even know that उनको XYZ companies में जाना है आगे?
देखिए, first, it's very important to get the clarity. If you don't know what you're solving for, you can't solve for it. So I've always told my first year grads that it's okay to not worry about placements because they'll be in 4th year, but at least use your first year to get clarity and get exposure to different kinds of careers that you could get into, right? Whether it's finance, whether it's product management, whether it's marketing, whatever the specializations are, right? So that's very important. You can't from first year be, oh, मेरे को CV बनाना है, किसके लिए बनाना है? वो important है ना, क्योंकि customize और personalize करना है. So first you figure out what you want. Once you've figured out, okay, finance it is, marketing it is, founder's office it is. Then second step is, am I really passionate about an industry or am I neutral? Both answers are okay, but you need to know. For example, I have always been very, very passionate about education. I have friends who work in, let's say, private equity. They're like, yeah, we are in private equity because we want to make money. I'm not passionate about private equity, which is a great clarity to have, but at least they have that clarity, right? So, know, in the second year, know that. Do I really get energized? Like, we have a student here at Masters Union who's super passionate about airlines. That's clarity to me. कि airline ही करना है पूरी life. वो clarity आ भी सकती है, नहीं भी आ सकती है. Then you're neutral. If you're agnostic, know that you're agnostic. And then you probably optimize for money, right? Then, once you've figured the function and the industry, then you start customizing. Then I will go and do internships which are in that function or that industry. Then if I'm getting a networking opportunity, I will not network without an objective. Then if there are 10 people standing, I know who to talk to and who I don't need to talk to, because I really need to optimize for my time. And then, things start to happen, because if you have an objective wherever you are, you will optimize that opportunity to meet that objective and you will be looking for opportunities there. So that's how you do it.
So you spoke about internships. Now, if you're from a tier 1 college, high chances that आपको internship easily मिलेगी because आपका college brand name है, college में opportunities आ रही हैं. But consider not from a tier 1 college, you're from a tier 2, tier 3 college. How should a student in a tier 2, tier 3 college get good internships at the first place?
अगर skill है तो internship मिलने के chances ज़्यादा हैं, और अगर skill नहीं है तो नहीं मिलेगी internship, right? अब पहले आ जाते हैं skill पे. As I said, if you're even cold reaching out, let's say somebody is cold reaching out to me, and मेरे पास भी आती हैं बहुत internship की requests. See, it's not about the money, right? You work for 10,000 a month, 15,000 a month as a stipend. Anybody will give you that if they see that you have a passion to understand and learn, right? आप क्या कर लोगे as an intern? वो आपसे, अगर आपको कुछ भी नहीं आता, आपसे sales calling करा लेंगे, आपसे कुछ operations करा लेंगे, या आपसे research करा लेंगे, यही सब होगा ना? So if you obviously cold reach outs, if you don't have connections through parents, families, cold reach out is also okay. LinkedIn का वो ले लिया एक महीने के लिए जो free trial मिलता है, और वो लेके आप कर दो उस एक महीने में cold reach out to people. But that story of why I want to come there. So for example, somebody wanted to intern with us in the marketing domain, right? तो उसका जो first reach out था, उसमें ही उसने मुझे 10 reasons दिए थे कि मेरी website में क्या क्या गलत है. Rather than saying, hey Swati, I want to intern with you, that person sent me a full document saying I want to intern with you and I can fix, first to begin with, I can fix your website. Here are the 10 things I have already identified in your website. Here is the document. If you think this is valuable to you, would love to chat. I mean, I was like, I love your confidence, would love to chat. I forwarded to my marketing department and said, एक बार बात करके तो देखो. और अगर मेरे पैसे नहीं जा रहे हैं, somebody is just costing me 10K a month, it's negligible, right? और मुझे कोई एक enthusiastic बच्चा मिल रहा है जो काम करने को तैयार है, तो कोई भी leader क्यों मना करेगा? Right? If I can, so give the output in the first intro. Don't be like, अगर आप ऐसी cold reach out भेजोगे एक paragraph, I'm looking to work in your marketing department, why would I even care to apply to you?
So what you're saying is कि जब आप पहला cold outreach करो, then go with a very tangible skill that you have and a way that you can contribute to the particular company or the organization. Be it going with a dog, be it going with certain other tangible stuff, जो at least आप consider करो कि हाँ यार इसको एक बार interview कर लेते हैं.
Correct. And the other mistake a lot of these Gen Z kids do, okay, don't want to stereotype here, is that sometimes you don't understand where the samne wala is coming from, right? Now, I feel the Gen Z, you guys are Gen Zs, right? So the thought process or what they want from the way they dress up or what they want from life is all very different, and it can be there in your personal life. But if you're meeting a 35-year-old, 40-year-old, 45-year-old, they may be conservative, right? So even in the first meeting, the way you dress up, the accessories that you have, right? I try a lot to not judge, right? But sometimes the subconscious mind comes over and takes over. And you're like, yaar, ye pata nahi yaar culture fit hai ki nahi. I think you should always stay away from these small things. Your dressing up, the way you talk, the language that you use. Always in the first 2-3 meetings till you guys really open up with the leader. Just be more formal, more professional, and that also I think helps a little bit.
So now I would want to come, you spoke about again networking, and I would now want to understand the importance of networking for a college graduate or a first year, second year student.
And I know that there aren't enough networking opportunities, at least in the tier 2 and tier 3 colleges, right? It's not that you're having CXO sessions and all of that. So, आपकी networking वैसे ही कम होती है. So the way you can do it is probably keep a track of events that are happening in your city, or 1 or 2 fests that your college organizes and somebody is coming. But let me tell you, and some people take networking as a negative word, right? It's not. I remember, so I was at Bain and I was heading the undergrad recruitment for Bain, the front end. And I had gone to my alma mater, IIT Delhi, for the presentation. So every company has to do the presentation. I was there. So there was this girl who came to me and just took a minute. She waited. I was talking to a lot of kids. It's like, presentation के बाद सब आपको घेर लेते हैं. मैंने बात कर रही ये सब हुआ. Then in the end, she came and she said, "Hi, I would like to introduce myself. I am so and so. Swati, I'm super impressed with your profile. You are my senior to me, 4 years senior to me. You went to the exchange and you did." Like, she had full thing on my she searched me well, and she just said, super impressed, just wanted your 2 words on what I should do in the Bain interview when you guys are coming 10 days later. Any advice, Swati? अब उसको मेरी advice नहीं चाहिए थी, but she made sure that I remember her.
And you like her.
And I like her.
Yes.
Right? That's what she did. और मैंने बोल दिया कुछ advice दे दी.
I guess being likable is really underrated. मतलब at the end of the day in the interviews, you know कि 19-20 काम सारे कर लेते हैं, but to be able to be with someone जो 10 घंटे दिन में ऑफिस में आपके साथ रहे, so you have a good time, that's really important.
Vibe check होना important है.
Vibe check. And I'll talk about the vibe check. Ask me after this, right? Let me finish the story. So when 10 days later the interviews happened, somehow she was in my brain. Right? Like everybody was on one side कि हाँ जा रहे हैं नए चेहरे etc. She was there कि हाँ यार ये confident लड़की ये clients के सामने भी बहुत confident रहेगी. Right? And then obviously her interview went well. But then I did that. I'm like, yeah, this girl is good. We should just give the offer and close her. And she joined Bain. Right? So I was in, I think when I was her age, I never did these things. And I probably realized later, but this 1 minute high makes an impression. हमें लगता है जब हम बच्चे होते हैं हमें लगता है कि यार क्या याद रहेगा इसको, ये CEO इतने लोगों से मिलता है, इसको कैसे याद रहेगा, छोड़ो ना, क्यों जाके अलग से उनका टाइम वेस्ट करना है और उनको हेलो बोलना है, 10 लोग तो ऑलरेडी लाइन में खड़े हैं, right? But you never know how they remember you, and usually they do, right? And that's what makes all the difference.
How do you really define a good network? Like, what is it? Just saying a hello to anyone? Is it just exchanging cards, or is it just getting the email and phone number? And how do you ensure that our network maintain kar pao over a period of time? I think that is one of the most important aspects.
And networking means different things at different stages of your life, right? So for me now, it's a lot about giving and not just taking, right? But I think when you're a student, you have less to give and more to take. So what Dhruv just said, likability, I think that's very important. So what you can do is, obviously, whenever you have a chance, you do make sure you say a hello, etc., a 1 or 2 line on them and tell them why you really like them or adore them or whatever, so that they remember, right? Now, be authentic. There is a difference between जिस आप irritating तरीके से किसी के पीछे पड़ जाओ, या आप एक ऑथेंटिक तरीके से आपको जो भी चाहिए आप मांग लो. When you're a student, you have the right to ask. People like to help students. That's fundamental, right? All business leaders will like to help students, but then authentically ask. जब कोई घुमा फिरा के पूछता है ना, तो मुझे बहुत बुरा लगता है. और मैंने जितों से बात करी सबको बुरा लगता है. और पता है कि आप स्टूडेंट हो, आपको या तो इंटर्नशिप चाहिए, या आपको कोई हेल्प चाहिए, या आपको मेरे नेटवर्क से कुछ चाहिए. Straight away ask. So first meeting, just say hello. Don't take a lot of time. Those 10 minutes, 20 minutes conversation unnecessarily drag ho jati hai. Unless it's a conversation like you and I got really well and we are debating on something and I really want to ask you something, right? That could be different. But otherwise, make that impact. Don't like waste a lot of time unnecessarily. And then follow it up with the WhatsApp or an email or a LinkedIn, whatever you have. If there is an ask, do that ask. Otherwise, thank them for being there. For example, if you have a CXO session, right, you can just email them and say, your this insight was really helpful and it helped me in my startup in this way. The person would appreciate and they will just remember this. You dropped an email, that's all, right? And then after 2 months, let's say, आपने कोई न्यूज़ आर्टिकल पढ़ लिया उनका, ईटी में उनका कहीं पे नाम है, या उन्होंने लिंक्डइन पे कुछ पोस्ट कर दिया, राइट, कि फंड रेज हो गया उनका, मान लो. Right? You just drop an email, read this in the news, congratulations, really think that you guys are doing great. आप अभी कुछ मांग नहीं रहे हो, but आप कुछ random time pass भी नहीं कर रहे हो. You're just keeping track of their journey and just staying in touch. That's okay. That's not extra. Nobody hates that. That's okay. And when the time comes, when you need a help, you ask for it.
So you spoke about vibe check. What do you really mean by vibe check, and how do you get to know that इससे मेरी vibe check है या नहीं है?
You learn from experience. So these days I'm taking 10-minute interviews, right? And my team always tells me, Swati, 10 minutes में आप कैसे judge करोगे? I'm like, it's all vibe check. I am not gonna ask them to do any problem solving. I'm not gonna. वो मेरी team कर लेगी, right? They will do half-an-hour interviews. I am just gonna talk to them and see if I enjoy talking to them for 10 minutes.
I've also heard about this from a senior only, कि भाई the airport layover test, that if you can spend 10 hours with someone on an airport randomly, that's a good way to measure कि भाई इसके साथ काम करने में लंबे समय तक मजा आएगा नहीं आएगा.
So it has been done on me and I failed it. So when I was 22-year-old and this consulting company that I really wanted to go in, I was very prepped for guesstimates and problem solving and all of that. But obviously you're nervous, right? Morning 8 a.m., your dream company, you're sitting there. And the partner of that firm did an airport check on me, which he said, okay, imagine Swati, we are sitting at the airport and my flight delay हो गई है, तो हम chit chat करते हैं. So I was not like 22-year-old. By your seniors, you've been trained कि guesstimate आएगा, problem solving आएगी, profit sharing का case आएगा, वो कुछ नहीं आ रहा. और आपको बोला जा रहा है हम एयरपोर्ट पे बैठे हैं और ये आपके सामने 50 साल के पार्टनर हैं और आप 22 साल के अभी fresh graduate हो. I went blank. I was like, this was not expected. This is a stress test or whatever test this is. Like, I don't know what to do here. And in IIT, you're not taught networking or just chit-chatting, right? You're a nerd. I failed it. I failed it miserably.
What did you do in that crisis situation? वहाँ पे क्या बोला आपने? क्या small talk crack करी?
नहीं करी ना तो
नहीं करी तभी तो फेल हो गई.
कुछ भी नहीं बात हुई.
नहीं कुछ तो बात हुई. मैंने कुछ तो client की बात कर ली कि okay, this client that we are going to meet and we are going for this meeting, what it is about, etc., etc. But that nervousness and that shock on my face was so evident that the partner was like कि क्या ये nerd है but like can't spend time with her, right?
काम कर लेगी और मजा नहीं आएगा.
हाँ काम कर लेगी और मजा नहीं आएगा तो ठीक है, got rejected. I had my lesson in life कि these are important, and now at this age I try not to do stress tests with people. I think that was bad on me to be like the first interview to be like that when it was not expected and hasn't been done usually. Like there's a standard in which how we used to do things at that time. But when I do vibe checks these days, I just say, tell me about yourself. What are your strengths? If I go around and ask people in your company, what would they say about you? Right? Like normal questions. And things I usually test for is how long they talk. if I have a 10-minute meeting with you, just a 10-minute interview, and tell me about yourself ही 10 मिनट के लिए चल रहा है, तो आप stupid हो. मतलब आपको ये देखना है कि 10 मिनट की ही मीटिंग है कैलेंडर पे, तो आप 10 मिनट के लिए आंसर नहीं कर सकते ना. 10 मिनट के बाद तो द इंटरव्यूअर हैज टू गो. So then you make sure that you're finishing it in 2 minutes. This is logical to me, but it's not logical to a lot of even senior guys. They will keep, because senior guys have so much on their resume. वो सब बता देंगे. मैंने कहा भाई 10 मिनट की मीटिंग है, आप 2 मिनट में खत्म करोगे तो मैं आगे पूछूंगी ना follow-ups, and you should be intelligent enough to know what's relevant to Masters Union and which experience you should talk about and which experience you should just ignore, because I've gone through your LinkedIn. I've seen your CV. I'm not walking blank in the interview. Right? So that happens. Second, people don't smile often. I don't know whether that's the easiest. Most of the meetings, whether it's investors, whether it's our board members or wherever, I just make sure that I'm smiling. You know, that just gives a good vibe to people. कि मेरे को एक किसी ने बोल ही दिया था कि स्वाति, you have a lovely smile. I'm like, so this is what keeps me half the time, you know, like distract you from other things जो आपको नहीं पूछनी है मुझसे. तो उतना तो आप करिए, because the energy you bring as a young person in the room is important, right? Sometimes I tell my team members कि यार आपको नहीं पता, आपको answers maybe नहीं पता होंगे, but the energy that you bring to my room is infectious, and that's what I need. Right? If a fresher in my team is saying नहीं हो जाएगा, रात के 10 बजे भी बोल रहा है नहीं स्वाति सुबह तक ये हो जाएगा, that just gives me confidence कि हाँ हो जाएगा. ये तो मैं ही कर लूंगी, but it just gives you moral support, right? कि हाँ, you know, like hope is not lost. So that's like, it's like how in a family children just usually bring energy, right? And they just make you happy. Sometimes that's the role you're playing as a fresher in the team.
Personality hire.
Personality hire, right? But yeah, I mean, those are the things. Like bring in. Sometimes the vibe check is वो 10 minutes में energy इतना low है. Sometimes what I do when it is virtual calls, I shift my tab, and if I still want to hear that person, that's the vibe check for me. तो मैं अपनी email box पे चली जाती हूँ क्योंकि virtual call है और आप सुन नहीं रहे हो और बंदा बोले जा रहा है. But sometimes it's noise to you, but sometimes you really want to hear it. So that's my check. If I really want to hear this person because उसको बोलना आ रहा है, land कराना आ रहा है अपना message, that's what I want.
So now Swati, we're talking about networking, and I think one of the biggest networks for any student is the college peer cohort, right? How does a student choose the right peer cohort? And what is a right peer cohort? That's also a question.
The right peer cohort is ideally the peer set that you bond with without any effort, right? And ये सबके लिए अलग आंसर होगा. I cannot say that ideal cohort ये है. कुछ introverts हैं, उनके लिए introvert रात को बैठ के hostel में गप्पे मारनी है. कुछ extroverts हैं, उनको बाहर जाके party करनी है. So the cohort or the peer that you gel with is what you get attracted to by default, right? That's the answer. Now, if you want to optimize it for your career, then obviously people who are more career focused are the people that you should try and network with, because if they're career focused, they're going to do well in life and eventually things will happen. You cannot predict in your college who is going to be a unicorn founder. That cannot happen. So you can just be, I think the other thing you can do is just be nice. I think the mistake that I did in my college was that I just didn't care about people enough, right? So I was very focused on my resume, my dramatics club, my CV, my position of responsibility. I was not hurting anybody. I was not being bad to anybody, but I was also not being friends with anybody, right? So that left me into, like 10 years later, that left me into a space where I felt a little out of the network. And it's not just me, maybe 10 other people felt the same. And I do have a benefit of having a husband who comes from the same batch in the same college. So I can compare always. कि इसके तो बड़े friends हैं, इसके friends तो इसको आज भी phone करते हैं, right? So I think just building even a small group, but building those authentic relationships that will keep you going, not in your professional life, but in your personal life also.
So now shifting gears from networking and getting internships, to, I think, asking one of those most fundamental questions any management graduate has: is MBA worth it? And if yes, then when?
See, again, this MBA, as we discussed at the beginning of this conversation, means nothing unless you put a brand to it. I've always said that India is a market, or in world also in general, the market is of which MBA, which college, not MBA. So BTech also, right, doesn't have a value on its own. It's which college, where, kahan ka BTech. तो वही question है, kahan ka MBA, right? तो आप अगर मुझे बोलो कि भाई IIM अहमदाबाद मिल रहा है, मास्टर्स यूनियन मिल रहा है, ISB हैदराबाद मिल रहा है, go for it. Also depends on what is your objective out of that MBA. When I did my MBA, I was not doing it for placements because I was at Bain. After MBA, I was coming back to Bain. So, and Bain wasn't telling me ki, hey, we will not promote you if you don't go and do an Ivy League MBA. I did it because I wanted to do it. I wanted that 2-year break. I felt I'm lacking some maturity. I'm lacking some confidence. I really want to work on myself. And the fact that I didn't make friends at IIT, I was like, now I want to make friends. ये मेरा objective है, right? So वो objective था तो मैंने करा. So MBA can give you a great network if that's what you want, because these people will go on to do great things in life if you're going to a tier 1 college. MBA can give you great placements, but then be very focused. Which industry I'm going to... MBA, you can't, unlike undergrad, MBA, you can't enter with, okay, I will explore. Need to know what industry, because you have 1 year or 2 years, that's short. It gets really competitive in 3-4 months. Everybody knows what they want. So that you should know. People go for, Wharton ka joke tha that you get your job here and you get your spouse here. So people go for that purpose also. So again, network. So you need to know what objective, but if you're very clear ki haan, I'm lacking this, maybe it's a career switch that you want to do. Maybe you feel ki yaar meko thodi maturity or confidence kam lag raha hai and I need that 1-2 year of break to really work on myself in a space and ecosystem that gives me that, then you can do it. For networking, you can do it if you feel ki I am not in the league of students or network that I think my potential is in. Executive MBA भी करते हैं काफी लोग बहुत time बाद for the same reason. They don't look for job, but they just feel that, hey, I'm not in the right set of people and I really need to get my tribe.
So I think, Swati, it was a stellar podcast, honestly, very similar to your career as well. And I think we covered a lot about how freshers can go about cracking a 15-20 lakh job. And I'm damn sure that if they listen to all the rationale you have given, be it choosing the company, the skill deficit, be it networking, be it making a LinkedIn or CV, they are gonna have that J-curve growth in their career.
The hockey stick.
Yeah, the hockey stick curve. Yes, exactly. So thank you so much for being a part of the podcast, and we really enjoyed the conversation.
I really loved it. I think you made me synthesize a lot by asking the right questions. So thanks to both of you.
Thank you so
really
much.
enjoyed it.
Enjoy.